Alrighty then, if you're watching the replay, seconds, that's when we will start the real conversation. Sup, champ? I got a bunch of people going on here. You guys you're pumped. You're just as pumped as Corey and I are. I know it. I know it. Everybody is psyched here. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Periscope. Peace, Alex. What's going on, brother? We are live on Periscope. Finally, I know. This is all my fault. I do apologize. Caterating, that is what we're talking about. I'm not going to share it yet. I know I'm late. I'm going to give you double overtime. You have my word. I had a problem with YouTube. It was driving me crazy. I got Corey on. Excuse me. I didn't have a problem with YouTube. I had a problem with Skype. But I got Corey on here. It's going to be a blast. You guys are going to be talking to both of us. It's going to be a thing. We've got Doncic v. Ayton. We've got Doncic v. Excuse me. We've got... Yeah, Doncic v. Ayton. We've got Ayton v. Towns to talk about with the #1 pick. The Phoenix Suns. Dan, take DeAndre Ayton. I would bet your mortgage, and I said it because I only have rent. So, you know what? I got to bet your mortgage, not mine. So, Corey, real quick, before we start, why don't you say hello to everybody, and then if you guys could just do me a favor and let me know if you can hear. So, Corey, say hi. What's up, Paul? Say hi. Corey, please.
Hey, everyone. Good to be back. I know it's been a while since I've been on the show, but I'm excited and looking forward to talking some Suns basketball.
Yes, sir. Can you guys hear Corey? We're going to start in 10 seconds. If I see a bunch of yeses, give me yeses, give me fists, give me peace signs, give me thumbs up. I suppose I'll take the middle finger, although you know I don't like that. I got a thumbs up. All right, welcome to Valley of the Suns Live, the weekly edition. My name is Adam Ains. I am your host. I am your site editor. I am your friend of the Suns. And you know what? I got Corey Miller here, your friend, my good friend. I am stoked. Thank you for all the thumbs up. You guys can hear him. Yes, Ryan, I am pumped. Iowa, finally you're back on a live. Do us a favor. Give us a heart. Give us a like. Give us a retweet. We are talking Ayton v. Doncic. We are talking Ayton v. Towns. What else is there to talk about? Does anybody care about 16? Raise your hand if you care about 16. Nope, nope. Do not even raise your hand. So, Corey, I say that the Phoenix Suns draft DeAndre Ayton #1. Agree or disagree, you?
I agree, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, I'm loving that. I am pumped. Dude, I'm stoked to see a franchise center in this freaking franchise for the first time in 51 years. I suppose you can count Alvin Adams. He's a good family friend of mine. We do love him. But, I mean, Alvin Adams, I'm sorry, you were 6'9". We want DeAndre Ayton. So, okay, I got Joe that says trade for 4 and pray Doncic is there. Yes, I got Dan gives us the Spock. We got the Spock, so we are good. So, okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So we've got DeAndre Ayton versus Luka Doncic, Corey.
Yep.
Obviously, the NBA, because of Mike D'Antoni and because of the Golden State Warriors, the NBA is kind of leaning more guard-centric than it has ever been in its history. However, there are still more, in my opinion, decent guards available not only in the league itself as we speak, but also in college than there are centers. And so when I think of a list of guards, I can come up with a good number that average 20 and 6. And I'm saying 20.6 assists, which is still low in terms of assists, but regardless, that's what the NBA is now. I can only think of a very small handful of centers. Now, are those centers winning titles and MVPs the way they did in the 90s and early 2000s with Shaq and David Robinson and Tim Duncan and Hakeem Olajuwon and, you know, so on and so forth, Tim Duncan, so on and so forth. And I know there are more. But when I think of that, though, and I think of the center position as positionless as the league is moving, it is still prime property. I mean, the center is beachfront property. If you can get beachfront property at cheap, which a draft pick is obviously going to be cheaper than, you know, say a free agent or trade, I say you got to go for it. Do you agree? I mean, it's like the Suns have the opportunity for a franchise center. They potentially have the opportunity for a franchise guard / small forward if Luka Doncic is such. They've got to go franchise center, correct?
I think so. I think it's a no-brainer to take Ayton at #1. And I want to be very clear. I love Doncic. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I don't think I am, but I don't think it's a negative for Luka to want to take Ayton at #1. If we were at #2 right now, we'd all be, you know, happy with whoever fell to 2 out of these players. Luka's going to be a very special player in the NBA for a long time to come. I think there's some concerns about his athleticism. I think he's by no means a plus defender. I don't think either of these guys are going to be plus defenders.
Yeah.
But, again, it's exactly what you said. in my lifetime, and really in the lifetime in 51 seasons for this franchise, we have never had that do-everything offensive superstar stud center. And we get that with Ayton. Ayton has a lot of concern with his play on defense. And so, like, I understand people that would rather take Doncic, and I don't blame them. But for me, the choice is clear. I would take Ayton. I think offensively, there's no way he's going to be a bust. He has every move in the book. He can shoot a little bit. He shot outside a little bit at U of A. He's extremely athletic. He's the type of big man you want in this space and pace NBA. He's not an old plodding big man like a Jahlil Okafor or other busts that we've had recently. I think this guy's the real deal when it comes to offense. And if he can give you anything on defense, it's a tremendous get at number one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you know, it's funny because nobody really talked about the Suns in defense for the last 49 years. Then all of a sudden it's, you know, he doesn't play defense. Does anybody in the NBA play defense? Obviously the Golden State Warriors play defense. I mean, everyone, all of a sudden Steph Curry is, you know, Michael Jordan at the shooting guard position in defense. I don't buy that. James Harden doesn't play defense, but he's going to win the MVP this year. You know, and yet, and I say that tongue-in-cheek because they all play defense. Some of them are just much better than others. Some of them are more lateral. Some of them need to score 35, 40 points a game. That's, you know, a little facetious, but regardless, James Harden does for the Houston Rockets to be successful. We saw in Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals that if he doesn't score 35 points, you know, they're not winning. So, you know, at the same time, they look at DeAndre Ayton, it's like, okay, he's probably going to be a 20-10 guy his rookie year. And I will give you like a 2 to 3 point / rebound leeway there his rookie year. But regardless, he's going to be that guy in the NBA. He's going to get you close to 2 blocks a game. You know, so it's just like, okay, that's what to expect. He's also not going to just turn his body, for those of you watching on Periscope and Twitter and YouTube, he's not going to just turn his body and just let guys by. I mean, he's got to put his hands up. So it's just like he's going to do the best he can, but then just understand that, dude, if that guy just bricks a layup, I don't even have to block it. If I get down court and get a dunk, that's a 4-point swing. So, you know, this whole, oh, he doesn't play defense. Okay, he does play defense. He might not be insert great defensive player there, you know, especially at the center position. Sure, maybe he's not Hakeem Olajuwon. You know, he's certainly never going to be Adam Eaton. Or, not Eaton, that's baseball. Utah Jazz, averaged 5 blocks a game like 4 times. Adam... Oh, for the love of God, the Suns drafted him. Why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know. He's never going to be a 5-block-a-game guy, but he's going to be a 20-10, probably 25-12 guy with 1.6, 1.7 blocks. Adam Ant. It wasn't. No, it's not Adam Eaton. It's not Adam Mans either. I do appreciate that.
Adam Eaton's a baseball player.
Mark Eaton. Why did I use my own name? Not Adam Dang either. Mark Eaton. Thank you. Thank you, PDA 4976. So he's never going to be that guy on defense, but he's still going to be, you know, incredibly important on the offensive end when he's dropping 25, 30 points a game, and he's got Devin Booker dropping 25 and 30 points for mid-range and 3. Thank you, Mark. I'm saying Mark a bunch. I don't know why. I got baseball and basketball. I'm such a, you know, I thought about myself there. I'm sorry. So it's, to me, that argument is just silly. Especially, and tell me, Corey, what you think here.
Yep.
I have never heard anybody say that Luka Doncic is a tremendous defensive player. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So, in my opinion, what is the difference between 10 assists a game and 10 rebounds, or 10 assists a game and 12 rebounds? Because an assist, yes, implies, or does not necessarily imply, but it actually literally means that somebody scored at least 2 points. So, if it's 10 and you're expecting 23, 24 points a game off of an assist. Okay. But 12 rebounds implies at least 8 defensive times that the opposition lost a possession. They missed a shot and did not retain the ball. Which means without that rebound, the assist does not happen. So if Luka Doncic is not a great defensive player, and DeAndre Ayton is not a great defensive player, but Luka's getting 10 dimes, or DeAndre Ayton's getting 10, 12 boards, is that not a wash? And I go back to my original point of what is better prime real estate, a center or a guard? And I will stand by is productive and successful as the Golden State Warriors are, that a center is still more prime real estate. Am I way off? Am I close? What do you think? Corey Miller.
Well, I think that we're getting closer to positionless basketball. We've really seen it by some teams.
Yeah.
So first, I'll say that assists and rebounds, I think, are a wash. You could argue pros and cons for either.
Okay.
Doncic and Ayton are both, I think, going to be really good NBA players with the possibility of being great NBA players, but they're different.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Luka's not a defensive player. I don't think he's ever going to be. Just as I don't think Ayton will ever be a defensive player. I would say Luka's probably a little bit better right now on defense, but neither one is going to be a plus defender anytime in their career, in my opinion. Right? So I think arguing one as a better defender over the other, I think that whole argument is a wash.
Agreed.
I actually don't want to frame the argument between the two of them in one as what one can do and the other can't. It's not an argument so much as it's just different.
Yeah.
Do you want an apple or do you want an orange? They're going to bring different things to your offense.
Agreed.
Ayton gives you that presence in the middle, and for me, I think serves Booker well because it's going to give you an immediate inside presence, and they're going to have to double team him at certain points, and that's going to open up Booker. You're going to have Josh Jackson and T.J. Warren cutting off the wings, and I can't get this awesome vision in my head of Ayton out near the elbow or the low block just feeding those guys because they're both great slashers.
Yeah.
I love the idea of what that does for offense and how it opens it up in the half court. But on the flip side, if you're a fan of Luka, he opens up the offense. A lot of people would argue even more, but he's going to do more in their transition game, right? And that's where, man, Luka and Booker and Jackson, Marquise Chris trailing for some alley-oops, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, again, I would take Ayton. I want the big guy. I want that presence. And I want to be careful saying that you can get Luka in other drafts because I don't think he's your prototypical awesome do-everything wing. I really think he's going to be a great player. He's a fantastic prospect and maybe the best European prospect we've seen in a long time, maybe ever.
Yeah.
But I will say that you never get the stud big guy picks 10, 12, 13, 14. If there's a big guy who scouts think can be a generational offensive talent, he's always a top 2 pick. Very, very rarely, I think, do those guys go outside the first couple picks of the draft. So in that sense, I would agree. But again, I think it goes back to your real estate example. You know, either one is going to help the Suns tremendously. Either one's going to be a really good player for a long time. I can't get past that inside presence. It's something the Suns have never had, and I think it's something that's going to impact and help Booker right away, and I think that's important, and that's why I would go with DeAndre.
Agreed. So real quick, please heart, please like, please retweet, give us a shout out, give a text all your Phoenix Suns fans. Hell, your NBA fans. Let them in on this conversation. Let them know that Corey Miller and I, Adam Ains, we're doing our live weekly podcast. So let's go. Let's get people going here. Somebody just said that they want Mo Bamba first overall. I have a post coming in the next 2 days, hopefully tomorrow. I would still not take Mo Bamba number 1 overall, but I am telling you, I would take him top 4. So if the Phoenix Suns can get the 4th overall pick, that's Memphis, that's apparently up for sale, and Luka Doncic is not there, I would presume that Mo Bamba would be because Marvin Bagley is most likely going 3rd. I would absolutely do that. I will explain to you my opinion on that in the next 24 to 48 hours. Yep, Dub just said number 1 Mo Bamba. Nope, number 1 is DeAndre Ayton. Number 2 is Luka Doncic. Number 3 is Marvin Bagley. And number 4, I would say if I'm the Phoenix Suns or if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, although if I'm the Grizzlies, I trade the pick to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
I go
so,
Mo Bamba.
Really quickly, can I ask a question? Does anyone actually think that Luka's going to fall past 2? Because I keep seeing all these rumors that Sacramento's not going to take him, Atlanta's not going to take him. Look, he's not getting past 2.
No.
The Kings are going to take Luka Doncic. Yeah. Mark it down in Sharpie. Vlade Divac runs the team. He's going to play with Bogdan Bogdanovic. He came out today and said he'd love to play with him. All these rumors about him falling past 2, it's ridiculous. The Suns aren't going to trade up to 4 and get Luka.
Yeah.
If they trade up to 4, they might get someone else. I personally think the price is too high to get up to that spot. But the rumors about Luka falling to 5, 6, 7, come on, that's not going to happen. Luka's going 2.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree. he's going to, I don't care if it's Sacramento or if it's Chicago. I mean, he's going number 2 overall. I mean, I would say, again, at number 4, I would go Mo Bamba. I know a lot of people go Jaren Jackson Jr. I know a lot of people would go Michael Porter. And the Michael Porter KD comparison, like, makes my heart skip a beat. I think that would be incredible if he did that with the Phoenix Suns. Although, again, a back injury to a 20 or 19-year-old, that worries me. I would still go Mo Bamba, and I'll explain why. Although I'm going to do a why the Suns should trade up for Michael Porter post. I'm going to do a why the Suns should trade up for Trae Young post. That's all coming. But I know I'm doing Mo Bamba first because that's actually my ideal. Okay, so Lord Guko says, what if Booker gets pissed that we don't trade for Cat and wants out himself? So, we are 16 minutes in. Please heart, please like, please retweet, please text all your friends. We're now going to talk, and we're going to definitely go back to Doncic for sure. We're going to talk some DeAndre Ayton v. Karl Anthony Towns. What if he gets pissed? He won't get pissed. He's not. Devin Booker's not going to be pissed off because the Phoenix Suns did not trade for Karl Anthony Towns for 2 reasons. Probably many, but the 2 biggest reasons are, A, he understands this is business. He understands that the Minnesota Wolves are not going to just give Karl Anthony Towns, a generational center, a guy that averaged 25 and 13 just a year ago in his second year in the NBA, which should have been his junior year in college. They're not going to give that guy away. And I've had people tweet us at Valley of the Suns and say, well, let's see if we can get Karl Anthony Towns, but not give up the first overall picks. We draft Ayton, we get Cat, and we have Booker. It's like, that's never in a trillion years going to happen. Nobody will ever give Karl Anthony Towns up for nothing. And unless you're trading, even if it's, forget the first overall pick, forget Devin Booker. Okay, Josh Jackson could potentially be Clyde Drexler. I stand by it. But then what? Karl Anthony Towns is, once again, prime real estate. It's a center that no team has ever won. So, let's say for the sake of argument, the Suns just do not make that trade, and I don't think they will. As much as I would be excited to see that, it's just not going to happen because Minnesota's never going to do it. Would Booker be pissed? Answer is no, because he understands business is not going to happen. And B, because he wants to win. And here's my argument, Corey Miller. Why I do not think the Phoenix Suns should trade for Karl Anthony Towns is the fact that both he and Devin Booker, after this coming season, will both receive max contracts. That is a whole lot of money for the 5 years post 2018-19 that's going to be tied up in 2 players. Now, that is what the Phoenix Suns want. They definitely want to have 2 or 3 max players on their roster because that means they've got 2 or 3 great players. The problem is they want to be able to do that and push that off as long as possible to get as much additional talent on the roster as possible to create depth, to create spacing, to make sure that they have a balanced offense and a balanced defense. And if you suddenly, after this whole hashtag time BS, if all of a sudden you now add Karl Anthony Towns with Devin Booker the same offseason and max them both out, you lose that ability to add most depth. And you certainly lose the ability to potentially have a slightly better, although I still predict they make the playoffs in this coming season, but to have a slightly better draft pick. So, Corey Miller, should the Phoenix Suns trade for Karl Anthony Towns? And would you be okay with them giving up DeAndre Ayton / Luka Doncic to get him? What do you say? We have a no right here. I'm sure there's more of those. What do you say, Corey? Go.
Well, I've been thinking about this all day, and first off, I want to say I personally doubt that Towns is going anywhere. Agreed. Minnesota has him 1 more year in a rookie deal. He'll be a restricted free agent after that. They would, at the very least, they'd be in no hurry to move him.
Yeah.
And at the very worst, they're going to sit down, and if there really truly is that big of a rift between Thibodeau and Towns, Thibodeau will be coaching somewhere else.
Agreed. They need to fire him now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really don't think he's going to move, but if he is available, yes, I trade the number 1 overall pick in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, Towns is what you want Ayton to be.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm okay, I was tweeting this morning a little bit, and I've been thinking about it all day. I'm okay giving up number 1 and another asset or 2 for Towns. I'm not okay giving up the number 1 pick and then half of the roster for him and half of our, assets moving forward. But if you told me that number 1 and maybe a future first, even unprotected, maybe TJ, maybe Bender or Chris, if a package of about 3 of those pieces got Towns, yeah, I'd do it. Because it removes the doubt. It removes the what if. Ayton, I don't think, is going to be a bust. But with every rookie, there's always, you never know how they're truly going to adjust to the NBA.
Sure.
Right? there are plenty of stories of bigs out there who have busted over the years. I don't think Ayton's one of those guys, again, because I think offensively he's going to come into the league. He's ready to score now.
Yeah.
But what's Ayton's ceiling here? I mean, Towns is a borderline All-NBA big who can space the floor. You're taking the number 1 all pick. I think that's a wash between Towns and Ayton at its best. If Ayton turns out to be everything we want him to be, he's going to be a Karl Anthony Towns type player. And so if you tell me I have to go throw away a couple middle assets to make that a reality, yeah, I do it. I think Devin Booker's friendship with him is another piece. I know that he's a couple years older than Ayton, so you can say we lose a couple years of control. But if you add Towns to this core next year, and you only have to give up number 1, another pick, and maybe a TJ Warren or Dragan Bender to do it, you have Jackson, Booker, and Towns as your core. You start filling with some veterans, some other shooters off the bench. You got yourself a playoff team immediately.
Yeah.
And Booker and Towns being restricted free agents, you give them both max contracts, you sign them.
Yeah.
Towns, I think they're going to ask for everything. And in that case, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, yeah. No,
a more realistic deal for Minnesota is they're going to want number 1, number 16, probably a 3rd first-round pick, probably TJ, and then probably a combination of Bender and or Chris or another future pick down there. They're going to ask for everything because they have a generational franchise big man who's, again, borderline All-NBA. He's not even 23 years old yet, on team control for the next 6 years. Like, there's no reason why they would give that up. If anything, I would think that they would trade the rest of the roster to make Towns happy and rebuild around Towns.
Oh, yeah.
Towns is the best player on that team. Like, I just don't see that happening personally.
I personally think they need to trade Jimmy Butler ASAP. But, so, in the post that I wrote, the Phoenix Suns should not trade for Karl Anthony Towns. And granted, all I can do is speculate the same as anybody else. So if anybody says, oh, no, that's right or that's wrong, they don't know any more than I do. So I'm not trying to be a jerk about that. But I'm just going to say, I've had a couple of people go, wait, what? I don't understand. So, hold on. I just lost YouTube. Hello, YouTube. You are back. So I said potentially for Karl Anthony Towns, it's going to be a 5-for-1. Now, in my 5-for-1, Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, 3 first-round picks. I mean, I'm trying to be somewhat fair. I just don't, 2 of the Phoenix Suns as well as the Milwaukee Bucks. Goodness, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and so I'm trying to be as honest for both sides as I could possibly conceive. And again, I'm looking at it the same as you, same as everybody else. Karl Anthony Towns is generational already. Again, 25 and 13 last year. His stats, his offensive scoring stats a little bit, but they added Jimmy Butler, who's a 22, 23 scorer.
Exactly. And one thing that people aren't talking about is Towns, for a big man in a league where big men don't play every game. He hasn't missed a game in his career yet. He's played 82 games all 3 seasons.
Right for a second. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I would totally trade for him. I just think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. The rumor came out at the end of last week. There weren't playoff games on. I'm sure that the rumors about him being unhappy are true. But, I mean, think about this from Minnesota's perspective. Okay, you have a player who doesn't want to be there. He has to be there for the next 6 years. He's going to be a restricted free agent after his rookie deal. You have 6 years to make him happy.
Yeah,
Minnesota's not going to give him away. And, again, I would trade multiple assets for him. What I'm not going to do is give up the entire future of the franchise for him, because I think with Ayton you can possibly get a Towns-like player and keep the rest of your future. Yeah. So that's where I draw the line. If you tell me I can give up part of our asset base and I can cash in some of my chips and I get Towns, I do it. If you tell me it's going to take 3 or 4 first-round picks, 1 or 2 young players, that's where I draw the line.
So in my 5-for-1 projection, and again, I mean, just a projection, I said the 2018 first overall pick, the 16th overall pick, the best 2019 first overall picks, that's between the Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks, presuming the Milwaukee pick does transfer next year, as we, I suppose, should expect, although it might be delayed until 2020.
Yep.
But then also Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris. Now, I came up with the second one that was a 6-for-2 that included Brandon Knight swapped for Jeff Teague, because it does give the gives the Minnesota Timberwolves a little bit of additional cap space to make another move. In the end, I just don't see it. I don't see Minnesota trading Karl Anthony Towns. Would I love Cat on the Phoenix Suns? Of course. I said that all last year. Now, I opened my post with saying, before the Suns won the lottery, if somebody had come to me and said I could trade the Phoenix Suns' first overall pick for Karl-Anthony Towns, before I knew what it was, I would have jumped at it. Now that I know that it, and then, you know, and I would have said that because I would have also told everybody, they would have never had the #1 overall pick. The Phoenix Suns just don't get that lucky. Then they did. Or the league doesn't fix it in their favor. And then they did. So from that perspective, now that they have the first overall pick, and I'm looking at, say, you know, I've heard DeAndre Ayton compared to 3 Hall of Fame centers. Do comparisons mean that this is what the player is going to turn out to be? Hell no. But when you've got a guy coming out of college that I've heard everybody say is a can't-miss prospect, and then mention him in the same sentence as Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, and David Robinson, it makes me go, all right. You know, #1s aren't busts, you know, often. They are on occasion, but so are #2s, so are #3s, so are #4s. So, I mean, Devin Booker was not selected until 13th. You know, so it's just, every single pick is a risk. Your least risk is #1. And then I look at NBADraft.net, which I read all the time when it comes to college guys, because they do a great job of ranking and rating college players. They had Karl-Anthony Towns as a 98 out of 120 score. So if you go to NBADraft.net, or if you search Karl-Anthony Towns and then DeAndre Ayton, who I'm going to speak about in a moment, at NBADraft.net, you will find this. But they have a 12-category ranking system, up to 10 points each, which equals 120. They gave Karl-Anthony Towns, coming out of Kentucky, a 98 out of 120. Now, they raved. His strengths were raved about. So it's not like they said, well, he's going to be okay. No, they said he's going to be good. They compared him to Andrew Bogut and Vlade Divac. And when you think that, especially now that he's averaged 25 and 13 once, he's been an all-star once at, you know, at 22, you go, okay, their comparison was way off. That being said, coming out of college, remember, he was 98 out of 120. They have given DeAndre Ayton a 101 out of 120. So he has a 3-point plus over Karl-Anthony Towns. Their NBA comparisons are low-end Shawn Kemp, who had 6 fantastic statistical years with the Seattle Supersonics. Made the Western Conference Finals, lost to the Suns in 7. Made the NBA Finals, lost to the Chicago Bulls. They were a very, very good team. And Kemp really did not start to fade until he went to Cleveland, and, you know, before LeBron, who didn't suck in Cleveland. But then their top, like, that was their low end. Their high end is David Robinson. I'm sorry. For my money, granted, they were way off the Karl-Anthony Towns comparison of Andrew Bogut versus Vlade Divac. He is far more Hakeem Olajuwon statistically than Vlade Divac. But when I got a guy who was projected to be #1 in DeAndre Ayton, and they're saying Shawn Kemp low end, David Robinson high end, unless this trade is literally 1-for-1, unless Minnesota is saying, I will take DeAndre Ayton for Karl-Anthony Towns, we cannot stand Karl-Anthony Towns, we have to get rid of him, we will just take a future unknown #1 overall pick for Karl-Anthony Towns. That I will do. You want anything else? And I just got to trust so many college prognosticators that are going, yeah, this dude's good. And he's not just good, he's projected to be damn good. I did not make this trade. I just don't. And actually, real quick, go ahead. Do you comment on that? I want to pull up somebody else's information. I will keep that a secret for just one brief second. Corey, I mean, like, I just can't. I just can't. A 1-for-1, okay, because we know Cat is a sure thing. But when you're giving up a package, you just cannot do it.
Well, but again, I think it depends on what the package is, right? If you think about our future first-round picks, if you brought Towns in here, those aren't top 3, top 5 picks. Those are middle, you know, those are 12, 14, 16, 18, around that area of the draft picks.
But your #1
so if you were to give up one of those and you gave up TJ Warren, okay, look, I love TJ. He's on a great deal.
Yeah.
I think TJ is a 6th man. I think he's a really good 6th man. I think he can win 6th man of the year.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're giving away a 5-time All-Star and, you know, another first-round pick. You're giving away a late lottery pick, a 6th man, and #1 overall. And again, it's if you consider Ayton and Towns swapping even, which, to be fair, I don't know that we can right now, because even if Aiden projects to be really good, Towns has already proven that he is.
Yeah.
Right? You're swapping TJ and a lottery pick to reduce the unknown. And again, I don't think Minnesota does it for that. I don't think Minnesota does it at all. And if they do, I think they ask for everything. So I would trade with Minnesota. They have a new GM who comes in and wants to put his own stamp on the team, or they act stupid at whatever happens, and they say, hey, Towns is available, give us number one and another pick and a young player or two, then I would have that discussion, because that instantly makes you a playoff contender. Yeah. Not just a playoff contender, that instantly makes you probably a top 6 seed, even in the West.
Yeah.
Towns and Booker would be a phenomenal 1-2 punch. He's only 23 years old. You're going to have them both 9, but again, there's still a level of unknown with DeAndre Ayton. I think he's going to be fantastic.
14 first overall pick, if I recall correctly. Anthony Bennett. Do you know who they compared to? You want to just throw out a guess? Who did they compare a former number 1 overall pick to?
I draft to begin with, but who are we looking at?
All right. So, I've got some great ones. Barkley, Draymond, Dwight. No. Their NBA comparison was Rodney Rogers and Jason McSeel. Rodney Rogers and Jason McSeel, and the Cleveland Cavaliers took him first. Was anybody drafted on that right? Yes. Now, they were wrong in that Rodney Rogers was better than Anthony Bennett. But, I mean, come on. They said LeBron James and Lamar Odom on those Mike D'Antoni teams. Yes. I mean, absolutely. So, still, but I mean, they got that one right. And I want to just see, somebody said they compared Deshaun Stevenson to Michael Jordan. Holy crap, they compared Deshaun Stevenson to Michael Jordan.
To be fair, a lot of people have compared a lot of players of theirs. That's a big thing.
So the last one, again, I said 2 sons, 1 close to your heart. Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker, of the names I've mentioned, Karl-Anthony Towns, 1-1. Gordon Hayward. Rip Hamilton. No, they compared it to Gordon Hayward. So, I am looking at, again, this DeAndre, because it started late. So it started at 6:48. I will at least be here until 7:10. Corey, if you can hang on till 7:10, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Big bloody D that. I mean, they don't really know North Americans. They're not just Europeans, but Eastern black guys. They compared them to 2 Eastern black guys. Could they have not compared them to Western? I don't know. I'm just saying. I feel like that's just a hard comparison to make. Kukoc is bigger, Manu Harden. Doncic, I say Ginobili high, low, Jose Calderon. I'm just not psyched about Ginobili. You don't draft Ginobili number 2 overall. I'm looking at that Batman. That's just type casting. Somebody said, the God Felicio said, they have high as a 10 versus Ayton's size of 9, which is odd because Ayton is 260, Bamba is 225. I don't get that, but what do I know? I don't watch much college. What are you thinking?
I player than the other 2, but I don't think Bagley has as high a wingspan in there. I mean, he's going to block shots all day, every day.
Yeah.
But he's not very polished. There's so much talent from 3 to 7.
Yeah.
I think it's going to cost more to trade up in this draft to the top 7, top 8 than it does in a normal year. Because once you get to 3 to 7 are still all-star potential guys. There's a lot of talent in the top 6 or 7 picks.
Yeah. So, real quick, I'm curious. So, let's talk number 16 overall. I know a lot of people are presuming the Suns are going to take DeAndre Ayton, so therefore they're going to go point guard. By the way, we're 40 minutes in, so please retweet. Text your friends. Let them know that we're going to follow the Suns live for another 20 minutes, give or take a moment or 2. So Tankathon is Shy falling to 16. Hopefully that happens. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying Shy number 16 overall. A lot of people are saying Colin Sexton. I mean, I don't think either of them are going to be there. So NBADraft.net has Landry Shamet, who's point guard again. He's 6'5", 190. I mean, it's just blah. My question though is with the 16th overall pick, let's say they cannot trade up. Let's say the Phoenix Suns cannot trade up. And I think you're right. The cost is going to be high. There seems to be a lot of hype, probably too much hype in the top 10. Would you rather the Suns take anybody or just trade the pick?
Honestly, what I would like to get out of it, and I agree with, I think a lot of our viewers are saying the same thing. I want Shy. I want Alexander. He's not going to be the most offensively dominant point guard that you've seen. He's big. He's 6'6". He plays defense. He's got a good basketball IQ. I think that's who you want next to Booker. If you surround Booker, you have Jackson on one side and Shea Alexander on the other side, both playing defense hard, and they're able to move the ball a little bit. You got 8 in the middle. I think that's a productive lineup for a long time to come. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be there at 16. He's a guy who really kind of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but he really ascended in popularity and in conversation towards the end of the college season. And he's going to continue to ascend as we get closer to draft time. I think he's probably going to be chosen in that 9 to 12 range. But I would trade up and get him. But I would target trading up maybe with the Clippers at 12.
Yeah.
Right? The Clippers have back-to-back picks. 12, they're sort of in a rebuild. They probably don't want 2 mid-lottery guys to try and build around. I'd give him 16, and I'd give him a future first.
Well, but that's...
And I'd trade up to 12. I'd try and get Alexander if he's there. If he's not there at 16, I'm not against Holiday at a UCLA. I think he's built a little bit of the same way. He's smaller, so he's not as big, but he's more offensively savvy. He's going to score more points, but he can move the ball, and he's going to play better defense than just, a lot of the offensive guards that you see out there. So, he's not going to be Brandon Knight on defense. But I wouldn't trade up for Holiday. I think if he's there at 16 and Alexander's gone, then I think Holiday's a good pick. But I think Alexander fits what the Suns are building around much more. I just don't think he's going to be there at 16.
So NBADraft.net has Aaron Holiday going to the Lakers at 25th overall.
I don't think that's accurate. I think Holiday's a top 20 pick.
And then it does appear to be a little low. Lonnie Walker, 20th overall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the thing, though, about the Clippers is they don't want 2 mid-round picks. Well, they've got 12, 13. They would trade one that just drops. They would still have 2 mid-round picks. So they could.
Yeah, and so maybe it's two future firsts. I'm not sure. But if I were the Suns, and I would target trading up to the 11-12 range to get Alexander way before I try to trade up to 4, 5, 6 and get one of the top 5 or 6 guys, because you're going to pay out the nose for those top 7 picks.
I'm curious, what is your definition of pay at the nose? Because if it's 16, the 2019 best first round pick between Phoenix's and Milwaukee's, and Marquise Chris or Dragon Bender, for the sake of argument, let's say that it is, which might still, you're right, that might be low, and then we can even bump it up to 16, 2019, and TJ Warren. Is that paying out the nose? I mean, what if Michael Porter is the next Kevin Durant, and you have KD, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and Josh Jackson the same?
I would agree that that's not paying out the nose. What I would disagree on is that I think it takes more than that to get it done.
Yeah.
I think even there's so much talent, again, in that 5, 6, 7 range. Teams that are sitting in the top 5 or 6 are still getting a big impact piece for a decade, more or less, right? These are still guys that they can build around.
Yeah.
So I think if you're talking about what it would take to get it done, it's probably taking 2 or 3 first-round picks and a young player or 2. It's still going to be multiple pieces. I don't think you can just swap them 16 and a future first and maybe Bender and be done with it. It's probably 16, 2 future firsts, and then TJ or Bender or Chris.
Would you trade?
And at that point, again, I think I'm very hesitant to put all the chips in on one draft, because as good as we think each draft is, you just never know. I like diversifying my assets. I like knowing that, if we strike out this year, we haven't mortgaged the next 5 years of our assets, because at that point it hampers what you're building around Booker.
Okay, well, so first off, people have been asking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's comp, and the best one I saw was Ron Harper, which I dig. Ron Harper was a good point guard. Very good with Cleveland, won titles with Chicago. I saw Marvin Bagley, and off the top of my head, now I'm suddenly spacing, but it was pretty good. However, what I'll disagree is, so let's say it's 16 this year, then Phoenix's next year and Milwaukee's next year, plus Dragon Bender, or Marquise Chris. You're still giving up those 3+1. I would send that to Dallas. I know what you're talking about in terms of diversification, but oh wait. Yes, they would. Okay, they could do that because they wouldn't be trading 2 first-round picks back-to-back because they would have been taking 1 this year. So they can't do that. So they can trade 16 this year. They can trade their number 1 plus Milwaukee's number 1, and then Dragon Bender or Marquise Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 3 firsts plus a lottery pick. If I would take that risk on Michael Porter, and simply because, again, 16 is not likely to be great. Obviously, there are exceptions, plenty of them. And then next year, you have to imagine that the Suns are going to be better. I stand by the Phoenix Suns will be in the playoffs in 2019. You can mark that down. Milwaukee will be in the playoffs 2019. You can mark that down. So, now, granted, Dallas, let's say at number 5, who might take Michael Porter, even Memphis number 4 might take Michael Porter, they know that as well. So they know they're getting a mid-first this year plus 2 mid-firsts next year. But again, they're just as much trade bait to them as they were to us. Plus, they can get a guy in either Chris or Bender who is potentially... I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, that is low, especially for somebody like Michael Porter Jr. who's again been compared to Kevin Durant. But I think I totally do that. If that's the trade, is 3 picks plus a young player in either Bender or Chris, I just think that I would take... From a Suns fan perspective, that's not paying out the nose. Now, is that enough for Dallas or Memphis? I just don't know. And Got My Brand says, I'm happy with 35 wins, to be honest, LOL. Why?
Now, let me ask you, in terms of paying that package, is that strictly to target Porter? Because if you're taking 8-1, Bagley's going 3. Bagley the Hawks is a lock. Okay. So really, the options that you're looking at are at 4, 5, 6 would be Bamba, Porter, Jackson. You take Ayton, you don't have as much of a need for Jackson or Bamba. U of A, I saw Ayton play in person. U of A played Ayton at a position next to Dusan Ristic,
yes,
who is a more traditional. He's a big post player. He's not as versatile. He shot a little bit in the game that I saw, unfortunately, but he wasn't an outside player.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that to Ayton. I want to put him down low, make him the 5. I know that we don't have positions anymore, so to speak. I don't want to play him next to him. He's athletic if you play him against other bigs. When you start playing him against other 4s, he's not going to look as athletic, and that's taking away a big part of his game. So it seems like you'd be okay giving that package up for Porter, and I get that. That seems like the ultimate boom or bust, though. Is there anyone other than Porter who you would consider trading up for at those positions?
Yeah, Bamba. I would make that risk for Bamba. And again, I'll have that published in the next 24 to 40 hours. I would do that about Bamba. Because I think I could play Ayton at the 4 and have Bamba at the 5. And because what if Bamba really is a Mark Eaton, not Adam Eaton? I mean, then I'll take 3.5.
I'm not arguing that Bamba's going to be a good player, because I think he will be a good player.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a difference of opinion, so it's nothing personal. If you played Ayton at the 4, are you going to send him out there to guard KD?
No,
that's my concern.
No, I'm going to put Josh Jackson on KD, and then who the hell guards Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green? I don't know. But I suppose Golden State is playing center. Put Ayton on him. I mean, there's still 5 guys out there. So, and hopefully, to be honest, over the next 50 years of NBA basketball, this current incarnation of Golden State is an aberration, and once they've kind of aged out enough, I pray that, man. I hate it so much. But that being said, they will be a little bit older in 4 or 5 years. They're going to be the early 90s LA Lakers by the time the Phoenix Suns are ready to run for titles. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about them in particular. Your question of who guards KD is accurate, but fortunately you only have 1 KD. And okay, so let's see. What you asked, would I do that for anybody other than Porter? Yes, I would do it for Bamba, but the point is I would do that for Porter. So if Porter is healthy, then maybe you've got Porter on KD, and you can still put Ayton on their traditional center and have somebody else on so on and so forth. So those are the 2 guys I would do that. My package for Trae Young, who again I would absolutely trade him for, and I'll have that up in the next week. That's a little bit less of a trade. I mean, I would definitely pull back a first-round pick in a heartbeat. I would not trade 3 first-round picks. That would be a maximum of 2. I would do even less for Colin Sexton because he just does not pass the ball. I do not want another Eric Bledsoe. I'm so over the Eric Bledsoe type point guard. I would do even less for Mohamed Bamba. Yes. Would I pay that much for Jaren Jackson? I'm a little bit more worried about him, but, potentially. Would I pay that much for Marvin Bagley Jr.? Absolutely. And at that point, now you've got Bagley at the 3, and you've got Ayton at the 5. Oh, excuse me. You got Bagley at the 4. I apologize, and at the 5. And then when I pay that much for Luka Doncic, without, in a heartbeat. But as low as Porter and Bamba, yeah, I really, really would. Kevin Knox, no, I just wouldn't pay that much for Knox because he's a little too redundant. I'm looking at a guy that's projected out to the top 10, and I'm not too worried about trading that much. The Suns will only have to trade potentially 5, move up 5 spots. Philly, Charlotte, maybe New York, 6 spots. You shouldn't have to trade 3 first-round picks plus a young player to get Kevin Knox. So I'm not too worried about him. Would I do that for Luka, Bags, Porter, Bamba? Yeah, I really would. And again, so you're saying mortgage future, they would still then have their own pick in 2020 plus their own pick in 2021 plus Miami's unprotected in 2021, and then you never know. What first round picks they can get if they trade Tyson Chandler or Jared Dudley. It could totally be you get a first round pick. It could be protected, it could be late, whatever, but it's still a tradable piece. What if they trade Brandon Knight? What other moves might they make that could still acquire them another potential first-round pick? So, assets are acquirable. And so if I can get Michael Porter, who, again, according to NBADraft.net, not only comparison to Kevin Durant, but Joe Johnson. Would I take Joe Johnson? Hell yes. Prime Joe Johnson, young Joe Johnson, with Devin Booker, with Joe Johnson, Brandon Knight, DeAndre Ayton, in a heartbeat.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry. I apologize. I'm not for you. Okay, something like Nathaniel Phoenix says, hell no. So Corey, am I out of my mind? Am I offering way too much? Or, is that you got the assets to move? I am okay with the Phoenix Suns not having a first-round pick next year. We've had so many in the last 3 years. If we're making the playoffs, even for a Philly, well, not Philly because they got in the semis, but even if we got it just in the first round, that's enough. I don't need another first-round pick in 2019. If I'm able to get 2 this year, DeAndre Ayton being 1, potentially Porter, Bamba, Jackson, Bagley being 2, I'm stoked with that.
Look, I don't think there's any disagreement on how happy we'd be if the Suns could somehow finagle Ayton and Porter, or even Ayton and Bamba. I personally don't want to play them together because I don't want Ayton to have to play the 4, but I'd still be excited that they got 2 talented players like that. I think the disagreement, and we'll probably have to agree to disagree, is the price. And 3 firsts and Bender, maybe that's enough to move up to 7. And if Porter's still there at 7, yeah, I think that's a steal. But I don't think Chris is worth a lot right now, personally. I don't think Bender's worth a ton. I still drive them Dragon Bender bust. I don't think he's a bust. I got to keep practicing that.
Hashtag Coco.
I think high ceiling still has potential. And so I think my disagreement isn't on it. It's that I have a feeling would lead us to. Actually, I would say if you were asking me what the over-under on trades in the top 10 picks would be in the draft this year, I'd probably give you an over-under of 1.5, and I'd probably take the under. I think there will be one trade, I'm sure. I don't see more than one team trading out of this top 7, top 8 picks this year. And because I think that they're going to ask for a lot because they know that level of talent that they're looking at. Michael Porter Jr. was possibly going to be the player he can even be now because when he was a high school senior, he still had a messed up back, and look what he did.
Yeah.
So, Memphis, I could understand Memphis maybe wanting to trade out a little bit because, they're really just entering a rebuild. Dallas already has Dennis Smith. You pair Porter with that Dennis Smith. You go get a big free agent name in the summer. You can make a run at the playoffs. I think the top 3 are a lock. I think it's going to be Ayton, Luka, and Bagley to Phoenix, Sacramento, Atlanta. I don't expect that to change at all.
Agreed.
It's a lot of fun to talk about. I don't think Luka's fallen past 2, and I think Bagley to Atlanta at 3 is perfect.
Yep.
So then you're looking at Orlando. Orlando might trade. Maybe Chicago, just because they have so many holes, and really Chicago kind of got hosed in the lottery a little bit. I don't see a lot of opportunity to trade up that I think will actually come to fruition. So I think that's where I would disagree. But again, that's the fun of this, man. That's the fun of the NBA draft is we never know what's going to happen, and one of us will be, maybe we're both wrong, and maybe something completely out of the ordinary happens on draft night. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, hell yeah. And by the way, we're going to do it again. We're going to be live on remote, which is fun to say. I hope to have a better setup this year than last. We'll be doing live from the draft. I haven't actually set anything up officially, but I'm confident it's going to happen. So we got about another 2 minutes left, Corey. So and YouTube would like to just kind of rapid fire any questions you've got real quick. Just shoot that out real quick. I just cannot tell you though, Corey, I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked to have the number 1 overall pick. We got Prime said he's going to be there at Maxis and Glendale on draft night. I'm just so we're going to have an awesome turn in the third quarter on Boston. That is not a surprise, but who y'all looking out for the second round picks? I'll tell you who I want. I want Grayson Allen, 31st overall. I would even trade into the first round to make sure the Suns get Grayson. Do you have anybody in the second round that you want, Corey?
I think it depends on where they go with 16. If they, for whatever reason, didn't pick a point guard at 16 or they traded out, you look, Javon Carter is a experienced point guard out of West Virginia. I think he's the type of guy who you could draft as kind of a long-term backup. He's a little bit bigger than Mo Wagner, out of Michigan. I don't know if he would stretch big in the NBA, so those are a couple names I'd be looking at.
Yeah. I know I hated Grayson Allen and Duke. Let's see, I want them to trade the pick. Don't want it to take a roster spot, number 3 second-round All-Stars. Name 3 second-rounder All-Stars. I don't need an All-Star.
Draymond.
Well, yeah, obviously Draymond. But I mean, Grayson Allen, I'm curious. What a blast from the past. Bob Sura. I still think he's more Danny Ainge just because he was a pain in the butt. He was kind of an a-hole. And he was a hell of a three-point shooter, obviously. And that's all I'd want from Grayson Allen. Just go.
And I
dismiss everybody outside of the top 5. 5 to 60 I dismiss. But,
exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. I think Dan Marley was definitely the more talented of the two. Danny Ainge did have a higher career scoring average. There's no doubt. But Dan Marley was he was just.
You just see it in the perfect attitude.
Yeah,
right?
That's the attitude.
Oh man, I hadn't thought about that. That's a great comp.
It's like all 4 years. 6'5", Marley 6'6". I swear I've seen Marley rated at 6'7", but measured at 6'7". Regardless, though, it's their style of game. Dan Marley hated Danny Ainge with Portland. They hated Danny Ainge with Boston. He comes Suns '92, and oh my God, he was my favorite player as a kid. He's the kind of guy that you just love to.
And
we loved him for it. And then we wanted Mario. What do we do? And San Antonio. If his prime was here, we would have loved Raja Bell. Agreed. Very good comp. I'm pumped. Freaking pumped.
Man, it's a fun time to be a Suns fan.
Absolutely. Finally.
We've suffered through the last 3 years.
Problems all night. I do apologize. I wish I knew what the hell was. Bright. Our time is now. Thank you, Suns fan. Please heart, please like, please retweet, please let everybody know. Valley of the Suns Live is live on Twitter, Periscope, and YouTube. We're the only place where you can have a live conversation about Phoenix Suns basketball in the world. Planet.
I think I moved up a bit.
Yes, hell yes. What do I think about what, C? Or Jason? Go ahead. Do me a favor. Direct message. Valley of the Suns. I've got to run. We've done Valley of the Suns. I will answer those questions tonight. You have my word. Thank you all. We do this for you. We love you. Corey, please say good night. You're the man. All right, everybody. We'll see you in a week. Have a great night. Thank you very much. We love you all. And go Suns. Twitter, Periscope.